Hi, decided to do this video because, you go all over the internet and you find a bunch of stuff about the signs and the elements and the aspects and which planets they're in and everything. One thing that they hardly ever cover is, like, the ages of them and, like, how important it is. It's incredibly important. If you don't understand the ages of them, then you never understand the person, ever. They're always either over or underestimated, always. Unless you're in the same sign, and then it's just kind of a 50-50, but like, um, I'm gonna explain something that I've noticed. I've been studying astrology for like, let's see, 16 years now. Man. Um, the thing is, it's like, whatever sign they are, the age of that sign, they end up, it's like, okay, for example, let's say Capricorn. When the age of Capricorn is right after, what do you call it, midlife crisis, about probably late 50s, sometime, usually 60s, 70s though. That's their age range. I would say 55 to 75, but it just depends on the person. I'm talking about modern times, but like, okay, so that's their age range. So the entire time before that in their life, they do not feel like they're complete. They don't stop growing, I guess is what it is. Um, Once they get to that age, that 55 or whatever, around the 60s time, they sort of just stop. That's like their stopping point. They feel more comfortable finally, like they're finally themselves, like they weren't in their own skin before, kind of thing. And it's like that with all of them. They stop developing in the whole. Now that's with the sun, in the sun signs. All the planets revolve around the sun, so that's going to be their basic stopping point for growth and change and all of that. And you factor in any other planet, then you have just that aspect of themselves, like the moon, that's more of their spirituality and um, their soul, their mind, especially. Um, More like how they relate to others. So let's say you have someone, Capricorn Sun with um, Pisces Moon. Um, well, let's go back to what it was. Okay, for example, Gemini, they stop at a certain point in childhood because that's their age. Um, all the signs have ages attached to them. There's a point. Aries is infant, Taurus is baby. So basically, once a baby starts trying to talk and growing teeth and all that, that's like Taurus stage. Before that is Aries stage. And then when you get to Gemini, that would be around anything from toddler to about 10 years old. That's Gemini stage. And then Cancer, um, usually 11 to 14, like the right in between, not really teenage yet stage. Leo is teenager, 15 to 18, I would say. Virgo's 18 to just early 20s, early to mid 20s. Libra's like mid 20s, late 20s, really early 30s. and then Scorpios mid-30s to late 40s, and then you got late 40s to mid-50s for Sagittarius, because that's the time that people usually go into midlife crisis stage, and that's what Sagittarius is. And then Capricorn 55 to 60s, 70s, and then Aquarius mid 70s to 80s and beyond, basically, is what Aquarius is, like nursing home age. It's basically after, like, the point, like, you're gone, kind of, you're starting to go back to childhood kind of age. And then Pisces is, like, laying on your deathbed age. And I don't mean, like, there's an age where you're going to go and lay on your deathbed. I mean, like, that's what age it represents, is right when you're at the very last of your life and you're about to die and you have all your people gathered around you, and the stage right after that where you're basically a ghost. That's basically what Pisces is the age of death, or of no age, kind of. Okay, so if you take that for example, Aries, let's say someone has an Aries sun, I mean like sun in the sky type sun, they, from birth, which would be Aries age, infant, they basically feel like they're who they are. They don't feel like they need to change a lot. They're kind of like, ready to go. From birth, they don't change too much their whole life. And then Pisces is just the opposite, because Pisces, some people, or whatever planet it's in, they feel like that will never be good enough. That they will never reach an age where they'll feel complete. It's like, just keep going onwards and onwards. And so once you know all of the age groups, you can know all kinds of things. Like, okay, let's say Aries sun with Capricorn moon and Gemini Venus and Leo Mars. Let's take this imaginary person. Okay, so the sun, that means basically their soul self, most of them will not progress beyond what they learned at birth. They're basically the same person through their whole life. Okay, so then that's just the sun. And then you add in the moon, the age of the moon, since it's in Capricorn. Their mind and how they relate to people, their spirituality will not feel like they can seem on the outside like they are confident and totally who they are and everything, but then there'll be those moments where they're like, yeah, I really wish that I had saved up and did all these things, like there's so many like important things I need to get done and everything, but that's like on the inside. So they won't feel complete in that way, and they'll be changeable up until, in that area of their life, up until the age of Capricorn in their life. So when they reach late 50s, early 60s, something like that, they'll feel kind of like they're at their stopping point in that area. And then you take their Venus, which would be in Gemini. That means in the stuff that Venus rules, like love, relationships, home decorating, that kind of stuff, they won't progress in that area past when they're a kid. Like, let's say Gemini Venus, any relationship that they get in, they kind of feel like it's a kid's game, because they never went beyond the philosophies they had for the stuff that Venus rules, past the point of the Gemini age, which would have been when they were about 10 years old. That's when they stopped. They don't add anything to their philosophies of that past that point, really. It's like they're set in stone. But it's also, the more fixed and everything the sign is, the more likely they will be to not change at all in that area and not be open-minded. Okay, so then you take their Mars. It's like anger, sometimes problems, that kind of stuff. If you know what Mars is, then you know. But like, let's say Leo Mars. Okay, how they deal with anger, urges, war, any kind of fight, stuff like that, wouldn't go beyond how they said it when they were in their teens. So let's say when they were in their teens, because that's Leo's age, they were all pumped up and everything, and they decided, hey, if someone isn't going to treat me right, then I'm just going to treat them like shit. Or maybe they had high loyalty levels, or however they dealt with it in their teens, they're going to deal with it that way the rest of their life. Basically, they'll be less apt to change after that point. Like if they're really promiscuous or not really promiscuous, or if they had these certain beliefs that could make them angry, like if they were a very religious person when they were a teen, or something like that, and anytime anyone said anything against it, they would get very angry, then, or they believe that they should get angry, or something like that, then they won't change that later and think, yeah, I don't think I should have got that angry or anything. It's like it's stuck at when the planet was. So when you add all of the planets' ages together, it's almost like all the personal planets anyway, including the ascendant. So that would be ascendant, sun sign, moon sign, Venus, and Mars. That's about what's most important. If you take those in and you go by a person's life, let's say that person that I was just mentioning, let's say they had a Gemini ascendant as well. Okay, so once they reach Capricorn's age, which was the oldest in their personal, or in their chart, in the personal planets, that one was the oldest. So they'll feel solidified by that age, because that was the oldest sign there, and they don't go really beyond that point. But let's say someone has Pisces in any of their personal planets, then they may never feel like they need to stop growing, because that's the oldest sign in their chart, in the personal planets anyway. So whatever the oldest sign in any of the planets is, that's when the person will be most locked down and least likely to change, like at all. Once they reach their oldest point, then that's locking down everything. With the other younger ones, whatever place they're in, that puts like an age limit on that area of their life. I hope you understand it. So, I've noticed if people don't understand the ages and how that affects them, then, like I said, they always under or overestimate someone. Like, let's say someone in the older range. Sagittarius, for example, midlife crisis age. They will. It's sort of like, okay, the 6 youngest signs, which would be Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. They're more the childhood stage. And, more of it. Less. Virgo's right at that point where, like, you're, um, kind of out of the teenager stage and you're freaking out about bills and you're like, oh my god, I didn't realize paper towels, like, costed this much, that sort of thing. That's why Virgos are always, like, antsy and stuff, because they're constantly sort of in that stage of, oh, I need to grow up, I need to grow up, I need to grow up, I need to get out. That's how Virgos are. They're constantly obsessed with growing up. I need to grow up. Like, I need to be responsible. And Leo's kind of, right at that teenager stage where, like, I am grown up. Like, don't you treat me like a child like that. Like, they're not obsessed with the growing up part. The Virgos understand that there's some scary shit out there and they don't really want to piss off their parents, is kind of the thing. Because whatever, your sun sign is in, they're kind of like in that age, all the time. Like, I know there's a stopping point, but also, like, their whole life. Like, Gemini is the eternal child. Aries is the eternal baby. They need people to take care of them, and people instinctually know this about any Aries, and they just do it, even if they hate them. It's almost like this thing, like, oh, this guy is so immature, like I'll just do the grocery things for him. It's almost like they just do it. That's why they're so lucky. People will see them almost like as a baby, and they will take care of them, because that's what people do when people find a little baby in a basket on their doorstep. It's like, oh, well, I can't just leave it out there. It's like an instinctual thing. So whatever the person's age sign is, they will be that from birth to death. like I was saying, Virgo Virgo will feel more like they're grown up or whatever once they reach the Virgo age, and once they get past that, they'll feel a little bit calmer, but they'll still have that antsiness of being in that age. And I know a lot of books will say that the ages are different from that, but that's mostly because those were written in different time periods. And the signs change ages because times change and society changes. Like, the getting grown up age back in medieval times would have been like 13, when you, or actually that would have been Libra age, because that's about when you got married, was at 13. But now, that's like maybe early 20s, mid 20s, when people are obsessed with getting that one and everything. And so it's changed. So you can't really rely on that. Those are the ages that I've experienced talking to people and everything, is those ages. And I might do videos on each of the signs' ages just to make it more separated and everything. But anyways, the older half of the Zodiac will overestimate the younger half, and will see them as immature, even if they're very mature, even if they're way, way smarter than that older sign person. The older sign person will always see the younger sign person as like a child, and the age of the child that their sign is in. Like I was saying, Aries the baby, or Aries the infant, I mean, Taurus baby, Gemini kid, all that. And they get mad at them. And then the younger half of the signs usually gets mad at the older half because they usually seem dead inside to the younger signs. Like, they'll look at a Capricorn and like, how can you be so obsessed with business and getting things done, and or look at Scorpio, why are you so serious, why don't you let things go, blah blah blah. And they're like, why can't you just care or whatever. And it's because when you're younger, which is what all the younger signs have eternally in them, is like a innocence or a youth and a ability to sort of shake things off. The older signs have to take things more seriously, even if they're not a very serious sign, like Sagittarius. They may seem like kids and spunky and silly and all that stuff, but they're still very serious. They have that older person thing, like a person in their midlife crisis would do. They may like shiny red cars, you know, and everything, but they've also got that underneath of really serious, like, how dare you try to steal my car? Like, do you know how much I've worked for this? Blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, become the 48-year-old that the sign represents, basically. So it's like a underlying seriousness and coldness in the older signs, and underlying innocence, youth, and empathy sometimes. Not every time with the younger signs. And I would just like people to be more accepting if they knew the age and how that worked and when people are going to calm down. Like, also in Venus, one thing is, they're not going to be more calm or settled in a relationship until they reach the age of that sign. People with Capricorn and Venus will not feel like settling down and making a relationship work until they get to the 60s or whatever, and then they're like, yeah, okay, I think I want to get married and we can settle and blah, blah, blah. Before that, it's like, oh my god, no, like, they could pick the wrong person and blah, 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 or they might take my money, or, you know, anything. They all have their quirks, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to pick on Capricorn. But they won't feel comfortable in a relationship until they get to that age. It's just the way it goes. I'm sorry, but they won't. So if someone has Gemini, or hell, let's say Libra and Venus, and they want to get married in early 20s, and they come across someone that has Capricorn and Venus, and Capricorn isn't ready to settle at all, then it's like, well, God, like, you're taking forever. Like, I don't understand. Why don't you just want to get married and everything? And, you know, it's just not. They have to understand each other and be patient. But okay, I think that's about it. I think I will do all the signs. But yes, good. Hope this helped with some of your people problems. Yes. Bye bye.